Like peanut butter hangs out with jelly. We like to stick together, you and me. Like ice cream.
Welcome back, Revolution Kids, for another edition of Revolution Kids Online. I am so glad to see everybody out there. Now, last week we started a sermon series called Bible Heroes, the Judges. And that first story about Ehud, wasn't that amazing? Love that story. Now today we get to learn about another judge, and this time her name is Deborah. She was a prophetess. And so remember, we talked about how God would raise up these judges to help deliver Israel from captivity, because Israel would stop following God after a period of time. And when they would stop following God, they would get out of the protection of Him. Now, remember last week, if you remember, I had an umbrella. If you didn't watch last week's episode, go back to last week's, because I had an umbrella. And I mentioned how the umbrella is like God's protection. But if I'm not following God, then I'm outside of that umbrella. I'm no longer underneath the umbrella of God's protection. And so we have to follow God and do the things He told us to. And so Israel would finally realize they were not following God, and would pray to Him, and He would send them a deliverer. Now, before we jump into the story about Deborah, it is time to do some worship. I want everybody to stand up and let's get ready.
From the dust, God, you have made, and by your love you show the way. In your image you created us. We come together now to sing, with one voice to Christ our King. Hand in hand so all can see your love. We are one. We are one. In Jesus, I know we are one. We are one. We are one. In Jesus, I know we are one. Open our eyes to all you've done, and unify us by your Son. Bring us to the cross where we are saved, and let us live this love you gave, so all the earth will know your name, and all the earth will stand and shout your praise. We are one. We are one. In Jesus, I know we are one.
Awesome, guys. Welcome back from worship. I hope you guys enjoyed that right there. Now, it is time for some fun. What time is it? Say it to me. What time is it? It is game time. Everybody raise their hands and say game time. That's right. It is time to get ready for some fun. Now, today's game is a crowd elimination game. So gather everybody around the screen, whatever device you're watching. Maybe you're on your computer, maybe you're on your tablet, maybe you're watching me on the television. Gather everybody around the screen because we are about to play a game of one arm, two arms, or none. Now in this game, you got to choose between one arm, two arms, or none. When the slides are rolling, you're choosing. Now, during this game, if that slide lands on what you chose, you're out. All right, so you're out. That's right, I said you're out. If the slide lands on what you chose, you're out. Now, if there's just two of you in the room, keep track of how many times you win each round. So don't worry, like I'm out for the rest of the game. No, just stand right back up and keep track who wins that next round, okay? Now, get ready. We're gonna set it up here in a minute. Everybody stand up, gather around. There you go. Come on, come a little closer. I'm not gonna bite you. I can't bite you through the screen. Come a little closer. All right, there you go. Get ready. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, kick it.
Are you ready? He gives us everything we could ever need to love the world around us, to be a light in darkness. He's with us every breath, he's with us every step, so we can leave fear in the dust behind us. If you wanna raise the game, he will give you strength to reach another level in Jesus' name. If you wanna raise the game, he will give you strength to reach another level in Jesus' name. We are moving up, moving up. We are making it loud. We're making it loud. We're not afraid. We are moving up, moving up. We are making it loud. We're making it loud. Let's raise the game. We're not afraid to raise the game. We're not afraid to power up and go. We're not afraid to raise the game. We're not afraid to power up and go. He gives us everything we could ever need to love the world around us, to be a light in darkness. He's with us every breath, he's with us every step, so we can leave fear in the dust behind us. If you wanna raise the game, he will give you strength to reach another level in Jesus' name. If you wanna raise the game, he will.
All right, guys, welcome back. I hope you guys enjoyed that game. I love one arm, two arms, none, because it's one of my favorite games that we play in Revolution Kids. We even play it in Revolution Kids live when everybody's here, and everybody loves that game. So now it is time to jump in the real reason why we're here. Remember, we come to learn about God, and we are in the book of Judges learning about different Bible characters that God would rise up to help deliver Israel from captivity. See, Israel would continue over and over and over find themselves in captivity because they would stop following God and they would be out from under his protection. And so these other nations would come in and conquer them and put them in servitude. And they would finally, after years, decades, 20, 30, 40, 50 years of being in captivity, they would finally realize what they were doing wrong. They weren't following after God. And they would finally cry back out to God and say, please, God, send us somebody or help deliver us. And God would listen. In fact, that's our Bible story, or that's our memory verse, Judges 3:15. Everybody say Judges 3:15. It says, but when the children of Israel would cry out to the Lord would rise up a deliverer. And see, he does the same thing for us. He protects us. He's there for us when we're following after him. And if we ever find that we're not following after him, all we have to do is pray to him to return back to his protection. That's it. Now, he already sent us the ultimate deliverer, and that's Jesus Christ. But this is before Jesus, and he would have to continue to send these deliverers to help get them out of captivity. So today's Bible story is about a prophetess named Deborah. And I want you guys to watch this video, and we will be right back.
God's story, Deborah. So part of God's story is about a woman named Deborah. And it goes like this. God's special family was in some trouble. You see, Israel had started to turn away from God and stop following him. But because God loved his family, he wanted to send them a reminder that he was in charge and that it was really important to follow him. And so God allowed Jabin, the king of Canaan, to take over Israel. Now, Jabin had left Sisera, the commander of his armies, in control of Israel. And Sisera, well, he wasn't exactly the nicest guy. In fact, the Bible tells us that he had over 900 iron chariots, which meant he was really powerful, and he loved to bully the Israelites. The Israelites tried to resist, but they couldn't do it on their own. After 20 long years of trying to rescue themselves, Israel cried out to God and asked him to rescue them. Kids, it's always a good idea to ask for God's help. Even though God was king of his family, he chose people to lead them. They were called judges. One judge was named Deborah. She was also a prophet. Remember, a prophet is someone who hears from God and shares it. Deborah was a strong, powerful woman who listened to God, helped settle arguments among the Israelites, and worked to lead her nation back to their rescuer. Pretty cool, huh? And she had a message from God. He had heard the cries of the Israelites. So Deborah sent for a man named Barak and told him that if he took 10,000 men up to a place called Mount Tabor, she would bring Commander Sisera to him. Then they could stop Sisera from bullying Israel. But Barak wasn't so sure. In fact, he was pretty worried. He said that he would only go if Deborah would come with him. Deborah told Barak not to worry because God was going to deliver Commander Sisera not through him, but through the hands of a woman. Barak obeyed and gathered his men at Mount Tabor. But when Sisera heard about this new army, he rushed out to battle them with all 900 chariots rumbling along the ground. Now, Deborah could have been scared, but she knew God was with her. She said, "Get ready. This is the day the Lord will give you victory over Sisera, for the Lord is marching ahead of you." So Barak and his men charged Sisera and his army. The soldiers went forward, and with God's help, defeated Sisera's chariots. Every one of his soldiers were killed, so Sisera went running for his life. He ran to a tent owned by a woman named Jael and asked her to hide him. She agreed and covered him with a blanket. He was pretty tired from all that running, so inside the tent, he fell asleep. When Barak arrived at the camp, Jael led him to Sisera's body. Just like Deborah had prophesied, Sisera had been delivered to Barak through the hands of a woman. With Sisera gone, God led his special family in battle after battle, until Jabin, king of all of Canaan, had to surrender before the little nation of Israel. After that, Deborah and Barak burst into song, praised God, and celebrated how God had saved his family. And then there was peace for 40 years. And that's the story of Deborah. So in case you missed it, here's the quick version. Israel was in trouble. They cried out to God. Deborah told Barak God had a plan. Barak led 10,000 soldiers into battle. God helped the Israelites beat Sisera's chariots. Sisera fled to Jael's tent. Jael killed Sisera. The Israelites defeated Canaan. Deborah and Barak praised God in song. There was peace for 40 years, and that's a part of God's story.
Another action-packed Bible story from the book of Judges. I love the book of Judges. It's like reading a comic book, but this stuff really happened, and God used it to protect his people of Israel. Now, You had Deborah who calls out Barak and says, come on, let's go fight Sisera. God is going to finally deliver Sisera to us. Because Sisera was a mighty, mighty general that had thousands of soldiers. And he had all these chariots, and everybody was fearful of Sisera. But Deborah, the prophetess, is saying, God is finally saying he's going to deliver us. However, Barak was scared, and he wanted Deborah to be there with him. And Deborah said, because of that, God is going to use a woman to deliver Sisera to you. Now, this woman unexpectedly was just in her tent, and her name was Jael. She was just sitting there. She wasn't in fighting or anything. She was just in her tent. And Sisera, after running away and his army being just annihilated by Israel, he's running away, trying to find rest. And Jael's there and takes him into her tent and lets him go to sleep. And she's able to conquer him when he's asleep. Now, that is what is great, is this woman wasn't even expecting this. It just came to her. And that's what God does for us. He allows us to be used. He uses anyone. It doesn't matter who they are. God will use anyone for his will. And that's what God did in this story. And remember, God can use you just like how he used Jael. He can use your sister, your brother. He can use your friends. He can use anyone in your life for his will, just like he used Jael. In fact, that's our take at home, is God can use anyone. Now remember, if you ever find yourself outside of God's protection, like Israel kept doing, just pray to him, and you will be able to return to him. Because he's your loving Father, and he's waiting on you to come back. And he can use you. All right, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this Bible story. I can't wait till next week when we jump back into the book of Judges and learn about another Bible hero. We'll see you next week.
Like peanut butter hangs out with jelly. We like to stick together, you and me. Like ice cream on a summer day, or jumping in a pool. I think